Hi, Mr. B here, flapping his gums about IB English Language and Literature and how to get ready for the individual oral exam. This is going to be a series of 5 videos that are designed to help you to prepare everything that you need to know and be ready to take that exam. This is designed to be used in conjunction with the slides on the Google Classroom. So you'll need to be ready to use both side by side. My advice is watch the video first, then look at the related slides, and then have a go at completing the tasks that come out of each slide as and when you get to them. Don't jump ahead, don't jump through and watch all the videos first, because you will find that your learning is actually hampered if you do that. So you need to be a little bit patient and work your way through the process over the next few months. So what are these videos going to include? So these videos are going to take you through exactly what the individual oral exam is and what needs to be included content-wise to make sure that you score highly for it. I'm going to be taking you through how the assessment will actually be conducted. I'm going to be taking you through how it's marked, so I'm going to take you through criterion by criterion through the mark scheme so that you understand what you need to do to hit each one of those assessment criteria. I'm going to be talking to you on one of the videos about what global issues are. Global issues are the absolute linchpin of success for the individual oral, and so you need to make sure you've got your head around what those are. I'm then going to take you through step by step exactly what your preparation for the individual oral needs to be, and emphasise to you how long that's going to take you. It is going to take you quite a long time to prepare. I know, because I've had a go at doing the preparation myself, as you will discover later. And then finally, the last video, 2 videos, are going to be me showing you the preparation that I did when I prepared to do the individual oral myself, and then in the last video it will be you getting the chance to hear my individual oral and having a go at grading it and seeing if you can see why I got the mark that I got. So, to begin with, the individual oral exam for IB English Language and Literature is designed to last 15 minutes. That will be 10 minutes of you making a comparative presentation where you present your ideas about how a global issue is presented in 2 extracts. One of them will come from a literary text and the other one will come from a non-literary text. For my students, we have prepared 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini for our literary text, and a graphic memoir called Embroideries by Marjan Satrapi for our non-literary text. And there will need to be an extract from each of those texts that is talked through during the course of the assessment itself. They both need to be connected by the same global issue. More of that later. The first 10 minutes is you presenting your ideas, and then your teacher will then have up to 5 minutes to ask you follow-up questions where they ask you to elaborate on some of your ideas. The questions that are asked of you are all designed to help you to reach higher on the mark scheme, so that you hit every single one of the assessment criteria equally well. So if at the end of your 10-minute presentation your teacher thinks that you haven't hit one of the assessment criteria in particular, then they will ask you a follow-up question to give you a chance to work your mark up against that criterion. So the thing that you need to understand is that there is absolutely no requirement from the IB that you conduct this assessment in front of a large audience, in front of the rest of the class. So for me and my students, it will be done one-to-one. There has to be an audio recording taken of the entire assessment, but the only member of the audience that you'll have will be me. So, how will you actually get marks for the individual oral? There are 4 assessment criteria against which you are going to be judged. The first of them is you showing your knowledge of the texts and the extracts that you are analysing, your understanding of the texts and the extracts that you are analysing, and the opportunity for you to show your interpretation of those texts and the extracts in particular. So the key things to consider for this are that you are going to be asked to show that you can demonstrate knowledge and understanding of the extracts and the text from which they were taken. You'll be assessed on the extent to which you can show your understanding of the global issue and draw conclusions about the global issue as it's presented in those 2 extracts. And you're going to be assessed against criterion A by how successfully you are able to use examples and make references to specific things within the text. And that's not just the events, the things that happen in those texts, that's also your ability to show your understanding of the language devices or the visual devices that authors have used. That connects very neatly to criterion B, which is the second of the extract of the assessment criteria that you're going to be judged against, and that is the one that will be dependent on your ability to analyse both the language features and the visual features of the text that you are going to be talking about. So you need to think about this in terms of the classic point, evidence, explain type structure. You need to make a point about one of the extracts. You need to back it up with a specific reference to a language device or a particular line or a particular series of quotations from the extract, and then be able to analyse the language features that have been used in it. If you're using a visual text, as my students are, you need to be able to talk using the correct terminology about the visual features of that visual text. Criterion C assesses your whole presentation, and it's all about your focus and your organisation. It's whether you stay focused on the global issue and how it's presented in your extracts throughout your presentation, and it's about how you organise your ideas, how you make sure that at the start you are setting the scene and providing some context for the text that you are presenting, and specifically the extracts that you're presenting, and how well you're able to at the start present your ideas about the global issue. You'll then be expected to be following a logically sequenced series of ideas throughout your presentation, and then pulling it all together with some kind of a conclusion at the end. So we all know that the IB favours essay style writing that begins with a thesis statement, works its way through a series of points to evidence that thesis statement, and then returns to that thesis statement in the conclusion. And I would recommend that you do the same. Present your thesis in your introduction about how the global issue is presented in each of the texts. Back it up in the body of your presentation with examples, specific examples that you're able to analyse for language and visual features, and then bring it back in a conclusion to the thesis statement again, and conclude how you've been able to demonstrate that your extracts back up your thesis statement. Finally, criterion D gives you the opportunity to gain marks for the clarity, the accuracy and the effectiveness of your own language. All of us have pauses and ums and ers that we put into our speech. I a lot when I talk, as you will have already seen. It's all about trying to limit the number of those that we do and making sure that the language that we use to convey our ideas is as accurate and terminologically correct as it's possible to be, to make sure that our analysis scores highly for this criterion. In the next video, I'm going to be talking to you all about what a global issue is and how you determine a global issue to connect the two texts that you've been studying. So tune in to the next video.